going on, fellow zombies? It's 7:36, yeah. Oh, sorry, 7:26 in the evening. It's June 15th, 2023. Yeah, and this is the Weaver, John Seaver in Rosamond, California, are getting themselves screwed over one way or another. A long time ago on a certain channel I actually called it a mental health illness, or just mental illness, and tried to talk about what the hell was going on with me. And now I'm just getting neuropathy setting into my hands one way or another. The itching, the nerves are firing up weird. So the sensations are pretty damn weird in my hands. About a few years ago, and I've been trying to fight it ever since. I had a posting that I encountered on Facebook. One of the groups I belonged to thought it was a cool thing to mess with people's heads. First it sucks you in, and then you see the other things related to it, and my God, you're in living hell. Tripophobia. You heard me right, tripophobia. Hardly anybody else knows what this damn thing is. I had to research this damn thing, and the scientists are still trying to be baffled about it, and the shrinks are still scratching their heads on us, and the doctors don't know what the hell to do about it. They're not quite sure how to define this damn thing. Some of them keep saying that this thing, and I think I talked about it on my other videos a long time ago, is that when you see a repetition of holes or bumps, sometimes and what's been described as, our natural reflexes are either being disgusted or avoidance, like the plague. Certain sea pops that you happen to see, coming from different trees left and right, and they're full of pod seeds, and sometimes they're pretty freaky to look at, and then when you actually see the holes in them, they're pretty more freaky. I want to talk about geology here. Lava. Not the fluid stuff that comes out and looks like bulbous stuff, no. Aerial projectiles. And full of gases. When they land, these things are like honeycombed. These things are cratered inside, and for those who hadn't been affected by it or just looked at it for the first time, you think, pretty cool. I did a long time as a kid. And just looked at it and I just thought this was pretty cool. This was actual lava. I handled it, no problem. I didn't realize a long time ago that when I also got into I was affected by this damn thing. Got into the computer generated image and then had to get the hell damn thing out of my mind, and couldn't get it out of my mind. I remember handling a piece of lava in a geology class, and it was an aerial projection. It called it not poyoi. Poyoyo was the fluid. Bahoyohoya, I think. But it was the projectile coming out of cinder cones, being forced out from gases. You have a conglomerate of minerals and being forced into the air and lands on the ground and cools off enough to actually take a look at the damn thing. Wherever you find these cinder cones, you can see these pieces of rock. Sometimes they're not national treasures, but just natural areas. And me being somewhat fascinated by science, certain sciences anyway, earth sciences, weather, astronomy, geology. You can get the life sciences and just, not into biology there. No. When I was handling the geology stuff, it was interesting to see the rocks in a geology class. Didn't affect me as much. As a kid, no problem. As an adult, maybe. But dealing with the computer-generated images that people do these days, and the weird techniques that they use for photoshopping and transplanting and copying and pasting. They've got a way of triggering the biological thing in our heads that tells us I'm feeling oogie. I am feeling grossed out. I am feeling threatened. I feel like either finding the author and then shoving this image down their eyesight and say, how would your subconscious and your conscious deal with this nightmare? Because thank you for making this thing a living nightmare for every one of us to go crazy over. And our neurochemistry is freaked out. Our biology is getting freaked out, and not to mention our mental status is getting freaked out. I've seen what the youth do. Creative youth, and they just want to drive people crazy with this damn stuff. Hell, there was even an article that was done a long time ago concerning about a guy who was burning holes in his feet. Or actually, his holes were burned into his feet by God because he worked on a coal fire, and it was just all computer generated in another country just to grift people off and really make them sick. They did a pretty damn good job of it, too. Even on me. It gotten to the point where I had to go to different areas or different manufactured items that have a consistent pattern. And feel along them and keep telling myself, there is no threat, there is no threat, there is no threat. This would be one of those. If you can see the pattern in this paper towel, if you can see that and how it's manufactured and it's symmetrical, it's not organic, it's not looking like it's organic, it's manufactured. But even something like this would freak out a person left and right. I have to feel sometimes to keep telling myself, there is no threat. The little tiny screens that are added to the construction of water bottles. And with the construction of it to keep the water inside, and the screens here to filter out anything else. I looked at these little tiny screens, and they looked freaky enough, and I was like, oh my God, I'm feeling the ooginess inside of me. I want to throw up. I want to do something, just freak out and cringe and go nuts. So I have to seek out things with patterns on them, manufactured, rub my hands on them, and keep telling myself, there is no threat, there is no threat, there is no threat, there is no threat. Because there is no threat. They are not threatening to me. The visualizations that I've seen on social media, my brain still considers them a threat. Because they are threatening sanity. They are threatening something inside of me that's either fight, flight, throw up, or go insane. And that's what's driving me at this point. I don't want to go through this. I sure as hell don't. I started seeing the patterns on the computer of solitaire, of the dark figures, of the spades, and of the other things. Well, I'll figure the name out one of these here days when it pops into my head. But you got the red and you got the black. And seeing that, sometimes I would get a momentary triggering effect on this. It gotten to a point that I was just doing a search on YouTube, trying to find a certain video I wanted to see a continuation of a series on. An old BBC sci-fi show called Blake 7. I've heard of it, I'd never seen it. So when I was trying to watch it, and I was trying to find others in different episodes I wanted to see, couldn't see it, but I came across, unfortunately, one particular image that's still floating out there, but it was in the form of a YouTube. I'm like, no. Oh God, no, not again. I got out of it real damn fast. I closed it down. And I felt the revulsion. And I felt the anxiety. You talk about getting PTSD from an image. Yeah, PTSD from an image. Go figure. If we're already been psychologically damaged one way or another, I might as well get more psychological damage from something else to really freak me out at this point over here. Palms are sweating. I'm getting anxious more and more. I'm rocking back and forth. I'm doing more things with my hands right now because the nervous tension, the nervous energy is still trying to drive me nuts right now. And I had to stay the hell away from this damn crap. It's not internet itself, but it is regarding sources and locations it may be coming from, and I'm not going to be able to avoid them. I may have a flashback in my dreams, probably be waking up and freaking out like crazy or sweating up a storm at this point. I had to talk to my doctor. I mean, I had to write a letter to my therapist, and I had to write a letter to my doctor about this. I had to explain what was going on. I had to tell him that this damn thing is affecting me. It's one thing when I get emotionally triggered, and I know the trigger words on those, and I would get into the session, the roller coaster emotional session, crying my eyeballs out, praying to God like crazy. And then after when the ride's over, I am depressed for a couple of days because my soul and my brain's neurochemistry has to get realigned once more again. I don't know why it takes so damn long. But I feel it, and sometimes I have to lay down, and sometimes it helps, and sometimes it doesn't help. And I was like that yesterday. Oh, it came like, wow. It didn't come to that today, though. But I was like that yesterday. But I didn't get triggered yesterday. I got triggered today. My defenses are down. But their images on the screen, there should be no threat. They should be considered as no threat. I mean, I should not have to put myself through this situation. I should feel that I'm all right. But I'm not all right. That's the thing that drives me nuts. If I was all right, I wouldn't be going through this damn thing in the first place. I wouldn't be feeling this. And talking about it makes me more focused because I'm getting this out. The thing about this kind of conditioning, the more you keep holding it inside and you don't talk about it, the worse it gets into your head until you become totally a blithering idiot or mad or worse. And everything else is out to get you. You're going to be cringing somewhere. And then you start seeing the hallucinations afterwards, I believe. No, I hadn't been hallucinating on this damn thing. Thank God. And yeah, I've been thanking God on this one. Definitely. I had to keep feeling surfaces that actually had holes. Even though they are manufactured. I keep telling myself they are no threat. There's no threats. They're not threatening to me. Now, even if I happen to get myself right near a lotus pod that's already been injected, dried up, and looks like a dead husk. For as natural as it looks, that would be a trigger for this damn thing. But there's no threat. There's no threat with this thing. It's just an object on the ground. There's no threat to it. It's like me going back to a piece of lava and looking at the holes. And automatically the feeling of what I was discussing earlier would be trying to come back again. And I'm thinking to myself, there is no threat. There's nothing coming, crawling out, or anything else like that. Now, if there was something crawling out, then I'd be freaked. That's the thing with the visual imitations. They're trying to show you in how ways they can freak you out. With holes drilled in your head, or half the head's gone, you got nothing but a skull right here, or you got things coming or crawling right out of your skin or certain areas. There have been certain body parts, including the armpits, where holes were in there and there was things coming out of it. I'd seen those images. There was a complete skull made of complete computer-generated holes all over the damn place, just trying to look as natural as they are. And it felt and looked gross. Somebody on social media, I think I remember saying it before, tried to do this to gross people out, and I shut them down. I reported their ass on it. You can't do that. You're psychologically tripping people out. Of course, the answer was like, thank you. Okay, fine. You're reported. Facebook police. Bye. Yeah, I'm the schmuck. You don't fuck around with people's health like this. I need mental health like that. I mean, it's one thing if I'm going to be seeing Swiss cheese left and right. I like Swiss cheese. I love the taste of Swiss cheese. I also like to see mozzarella, but it's I don't plain as hell, but sharp cheddar, mild cheddar, Colby. Anyway, it was Swiss cheese. Swiss cheese melts, and Swiss cheese is edible. And it's delicious, and it's got air holes in the damn thing. But that's what it is. And there's no threat to it. Unless, of course, you got something coming out of the damn holes, then that's a different thing altogether. But I'm not going to start threatening over it because there's no threat. Unless, of course, you're talking about cholesterol, and you're talking about fat hardening in the arteries, and that's another thing right there. Or an embolism or anything else I might be able to panic myself under. But I had to get this damn thing off my chest. As I said before, I wrote to my doctor and my therapist about this, warning them about this damn shit. They may know about the threat in the first place, but I had to tell them that I had been threatened by it. They wanted me to keep in contact with them and tell them what's going on. Well, this is what's going on with me. I can even look at a Pop-Tart, and sometimes I'll see the irregular holes in it. But the machine popped holes in there in those damn things, and they're baked. So they look like they're lined up. They're not all over the damn place and looking like freak out. But I eat them. I'll think about them, I eat them. Milk and coffee and juice and whatever goes down with them. Doesn't matter. They're gone. They're dead. They're ingested. But this is what I had to deal with today. And I'm still feeling the anxiety trying to build up again. I still feel the anxiety. It's just coming in the waves. And basically I like to tell, how's that for a wave? So anyway, that's what's going on today. Tomorrow, let tomorrow take care of itself. I just got to get through the rest of the night.